like a little tip of the hat to Hereditary, which does the same thing.
Yes.
But I feel like the movie tricks you into thinking that the cabin is haunted by the mom, and then as we near the conclusion of the film, we realize that it's not at all. And I think that that's a huge strength of this movie, is that it steers you in the wrong direction. And then when you figure out what it really is, it's like this play on the new generation of kids and or what should I say, Gen Z. They just have so much technology and the internet and things at their fingertips at such a young age that, you know, some people or some kids will take advantage of that, and these kids do something terrible to Riley's character and pretty much unleash a monster. And it's pretty sad because it didn't have to go down that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude. That dude. When that scene happens, when they do that to her, my fucking jaw hit the floor. Like, wait, what is going on right now? And like, is this the movie? It does the whole, like, it makes you think the entire time that, like you said, it's something going on that it's not, and it jumps back and forth. And there's a point where something happens that these kids do, and you think, oh fuck, did this really happen? And then it throws you for another loop, and it's like, nah, dog, it's something completely different. But yeah, dude, and like you said, the actress who plays Grace, I'm blinking on her name, Riley
Keough.
She does a fucking, like you said, a stellar job. It's her performance is very believable and very haunting. It's funny that you mentioned Hereditary, because her performance is, I think, is up there with Tony in Hereditary.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. Because now that we're talking about the kind of plot of the film, what is your stance on how things, like, everything that happened? Do you think that Grace's character was wrong and still going along, you know, with this plan, or you know, how do you say, like, being in a relationship with essentially her psychiatrist, who it seems like the movie is trying to say that the kid's dad basically is a psychiatrist, and he's writing a book on people like survivors of cults or what have you. And it seemed like he started interviewing Grace, and almost is like taking her on as his own little project to show people, like, yeah, you know, you can survive something like this and live a normal life. And it's like he fell in love with her or whatever. So what is your stance on, like, did you agree with that relationship, or did you think it was weird?
I mean, it's definitely out of pocket and weird, especially if you know, he's a psychiatrist. I think that in his, like, I don't think being in a relationship with someone like that, I think it really wasn't. I wouldn't put the blame on her, and I wouldn't think that it was wrong for her to do. Obviously, the cheating was definitely wrong, but I mean, from his standpoint, it was completely fucking wrong.
Was there cheating involved, or do they mention that?
There wasn't, but I thought that's what was. Maybe I could be I thought that's what maybe they were getting at. But so if there wasn't cheating involved, then I don't I don't think that it was necessarily wrong for coming from her.
Yeah.
Especially with all the trauma she went through and being a survivor of a cult like that.
Yeah, so you're easily impressionable, you know, somewhat naive, you know, because you haven't experienced the real world. So of course you'll latch on to people, and some of those people maybe you shouldn't. And in this case, yeah, I think she was just, you know, in a vulnerable state, obviously, on medication, keeping herself in check. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think that these kids went way over the line, you know, because they, well, first of all, towards the beginning of the movie, when obviously the kids, they're holding Grace completely responsible for their mother's death, and so they go in and investigate the kind of video, how do you say, archives and stuff, everything that their dad has on Grace, so they know entirely too much about her past, and they kind of play dumb, and, you know, how do you say, they hesitantly say, like, yeah, we'll go on this vacation with you guys if we have to. But all the while, they're very, very cold towards Grace, obviously, who is definitely like the black sheep. She doesn't really fit in. She doesn't, you know, the kids aren't helping, and then things turn again for the worse when the dad tells everyone, look, something happened at work, so I'm going to have to take a couple days to go get something done, and you guys can stay here, I guess, together, which is, you know, a big no-no. There should have been. And, you know, at first, yeah, things are awkward, but they're okay for what they are. Grace catches Aiden, like, watching her in the shower, which is creepy.
I like how they do that scene. At first, when I was like watching it right then and there, as she wipes away, you know, the steam away from the mirror, I thought that it was someone, like, whoever was haunting the house watching her.
Yeah.
But then she wipes a little bit more, and you can tell that it was him watching her.
Soon, basically, Grace is like, hey guys, let's watch a movie, and they're watching The Thing. And she the movie spooks her, and she's like, you guys want to watch something kind of like a different movie? And they end up putting Jack Frost, which is hilarious. Transition. And was Mia is the daughter, right?
Yeah, Mia.
She's a daughter, and she's like complaining that she's cold. So then Aiden brings like this gas-powered heater, and Grace is really put off by it and is like, hey, is this even safe to be in here? And then she ends up falling asleep, and she wakes up and is that she wakes up outside?
Yeah, like outside on the ice,
on the
kind of snow.
Because it seems like she does like some kind of weird sleepwalking stuff around the house. But anyway, yeah, she wakes up outside. She goes back inside, and all the food, everything is gone. Everybody's stuff is gone, including Grace's pills. So she gets super pissed. Automatically thinks, of course, that it's the kids. They claim it's not. And that's pretty much when the shit hits the fan for everyone. Grady, her dog, they make it seem like she had just gotten the dog too, goes missing. And they try to stick it out for a while, and then Grace ends up, going on her way. She's like, I'm gonna try to make it to the next town so I can call your dad and have him come pick us up, because the generator, or Aiden at least, he claims the generator's down, so there's no power. You can't charge phones. You can't do anything. So then she ends up going, walking in a circle. She comes across this small building that's in the shape of an X, and we actually see the so going back to the beginning of the movie when the kids are investigating Grace's past and everything, if you pay attention, there's they talk about the cult she was in with Pastor Aaron, I think, who was also her father, I believe.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like this thing where everything was leading up to the cult, like killing themselves and giving themselves to what they call the new world. So when she's walking in the snow and she comes across that building that's shaped like a cross, kind of, she actually sees her dad inside the building. Freaks out, keeps walking, and then ends up somehow like going in a big circle. So by this time, she's starting to fade farther and farther away as far as her sanity goes. By this time, there's voices and things haunting her, saying repent and you must pay for your sins, and all this kind of whispering, like weird stuff. And so Aiden starts telling her, maybe we're dead, maybe the gas, the gas smothered us, and this is like we're stuck in purgatory pretty much. And at first she, Grace doesn't want to believe it. She thinks that it's total bullshit, and then slowly she starts, of course, because she doesn't have her medication, she starts to lose it. And then, oh man. So we've already said how basically the movie leads you to believe that it's the deceased mother haunting the cabin and creating all this thing, because they put a big emphasis on the doll of Mia's doll that's a representation of the real mother,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these spooky things that happen with not only the miniature sets, but that doll in particular. So, but it really ends up being the kids, Aiden and Mia, have concocted this huge plot to make Grace essentially suffer, because to get revenge for the passing of her mother. So then the kids they've somehow created like a authentic newspaper clipping of an obituary of the three of them that they've passed away, which is so fucked up. like dude.
Yeah, that shit.
Like when people say fuck them kids, yeah. Yeah, in this case, yeah. so and then by this time, when she sees the obituary, Grace sees the obituary with their names and the dates that they died and everything, she starts freaking out, and she tells Aiden to shut up, becomes hysterical, and then Aiden is walks away. He's like, fine, I'll prove it to you. And he goes and he basically, supposedly, hangs himself off the staircase. And then Mia shouts, hey, like, come here, Grace. And she goes into the other room, and when we see Aiden hanging, and then he wakes up and he's like, see, we can't die because we're already dead. And like, I think that visual starts to send Grace over the edge, because at that point then she goes outside and she's just kind of walking around endlessly, and she ends up finding Grady after that, who froze to death. because he was let outside, and then Mia, admits that she was the one who